All right, what's up? What's up? I am your host, Chappy, Peter Meyerhoff, and I am extremely ecstatic of my guest today. I have Mr. Mark Lamb, Sheriff Lamb of Pinal County. Thank you very much for joining me today, Mr. Lamb.
My pleasure, Peter. I've been looking forward to this. So
I have to. I'm a little shaken even. I got the family out of the way, and you are the first guest I'm bringing in, and I'm honored to even have yourself in here, like I said.
I appreciate it. This is cool, man. And I'm proud of you for doing this, honestly. It takes guts to walk away from successful business, and to put it on the line, it says a lot about who you are.
And you here, and I think we're going to do a good mission together and try and save some lives.
Yep.
So let's get into some cool stuff. A lot of
Okay.
people don't know stuff about you. They all know you're the sheriff. I want to get into before you became Sheriff Lamb.
Man, that was a lot. I never thought about being a cop. Never did. I'd wanted to join the military, and when I finished my mission that I served for my church, I got home, and it was about 1993. I was living in Panama, so we played ball with a lot of Americans, a lot of GIs. I talked to them about doing the military, and they're like, man, it's just nothing's going on. It's a little boring. So I got married, ended up five kids. 10 years later, 2001, 9/11 hits. And now I'm interested, 2002, I'm like, you know what, maybe I should do the military thing. But now I've got 5 kids. I'm older. Couldn't make it work financially. So I just kept doing my own businesses and then different things until it wasn't, one of my neighbors said, hey, you want to go on a ride along? And I did. I went on the ride along, came home that morning and told my wife, I'm hooked. I'm going to be a cop.
And I heard about this famous ride along that you had, and a lot of people don't know that about you. You were a very successful entrepreneur before you became the sheriff.
Yeah. I had my own business and it was doing okay.
A few businesses, I heard.
I did. Yeah. I've had different businesses throughout the years. I'm just an entrepreneur. I'm a marketer. If it's cable TV, solar, it doesn't matter to me. Pest control. If you can sell it, then I'm interested in it.
You can clearly probably tell that's how
Except drugs. I'm not interested in that.
That's probably how you got the Pinal County on the map with A&E and everything. So after you went on that ride along, I remember you said that you had talked to your wife and then within 6 months made the change. And I believe you were 34.
I was 33 at the time. Yeah. I went through the academy at 33 years old. Actually, you know what? It was 34. I was 34 years old by the time I actually went through the academy.
And then a lot of people don't know about a lot of the differences you made right when you came out and you were actually in the Navajo community, I take it, right?
Yeah, so Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community, which is, right by Scottsdale, Mesa, it's where the Talking Stick Resort is. What's cool about that is when I decided to apply there, that's where I put in my application. I got hired. My ancestor, 4 generations back, so great-great-great-great-grandfather, was Daniel Webster Jones. And Daniel Webster Jones founded Lehi, Arizona. He actually spent a ton of time with that tribe back in the day, fought on their behalf to make sure that the boundaries of their reservation were appropriate, wrote a book called 40 Years Among the Indians. And so it was like coming home to it. So the day that I did my, when they hire you, you got to do your first day at the community. And so you sign up for all your insurance and stuff, but they give you a little history. And in that history, they talked about my ancestor and the role that he played on the trial.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it was very cool. And I felt like I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And it was cool. Yeah.
And everybody knows you're a cool sheriff now, but I want to get to, and I don't even remember these numbers, but you had told me some crazy statistics from some of the stuff that you did in those Navajo communities. Can you go over a little bit of that with us? Because a lot of people don't know that, and I feel like you definitely don't get enough credit for that stuff, because that's, one of the biggest problems in the world to this day.
I appreciate it. Yeah, gangs is a big problem on a lot of the reservations. On the reservation, it's a little bit different than what you would see in the city. City typically gangs is motivated by drug, territory, that type of thing. On the reservation, it's typically motivated by just your family, like what color you wear. Do you wear red? Do you wear blue? Do you wear black? And so we had a ton of drive-by shootings out there. Just to give you an idea, and Mesa, Tempe, and Chandler combined for almost 1 million people. Salt River is tucked in right between those 3. They combine, did I say Mesa, Tempe, and Chandler?
Mm-hmm.
No, Mesa, Tempe, and Scottsdale.
Okay.
They combine for almost 1 million people. The Salt River Reservation is tucked right in there. There are about 6,000 people that live on the community. With the casino, obviously, there's a lot more people that come through
For
there.
sure.
But, so we went through and we looked at it, and they had from 2007 to 2010, they had 58 drive-by shootings in Mesa, Scottsdale, and Tempe. During that same period of time, we had 200 drive-by shootings, 4 times as many, with only like 6,000 people. So when I became a gang and drug detective, they gave me a stack of files, like dropped them right on my desk. Said, hey, you're in charge of drive-by shootings. So I started looking at the cases and I started looking at the evidence, and I started realizing that it was predominantly one gang that was doing the shootings, and then the other gang would retaliate. So we thought maybe if we went after this one gang that we could stop it. So we put a list of 30 people together. We narrowed it down to about 15. We started looking at cases they had in the cities and all that stuff. And really, honestly, I know this is now it's not good, but we put our proverbial boot in their throat. Like we just went hard after them, and it worked. We did a federal RICO case, and in 2009, we had 76 drive-by shootings on the reservation. In 2010, after we started working this case, we had 10. In 2011, we had 0. And in 2012, before I left, we had 0 drive-by shootings.
I got goosebumps even hearing that.
I mean, that was effective policing. And we didn't do it. We're respectful in the way we do it, but if you broke the law, we held you accountable. We held the right people accountable. And obviously, we changed the dynamic of that reservation. This was an epidemic out there, and we kind of rooted out that gang activity.
Yeah, awesome. So tell me how you transitioned from that over to the Pinal County where you are now.
So, it was back in the Obama days, and I wasn't a fan of Obama. I didn't like the direction the country was heading in.
Watch out, they might censor this now.
Yeah, I know, right? I didn't like the prospect of who might come in after. And so I'm one of those guys that I rather than just talk and complain about something, I believe you do something about it. So one day I was sitting in there with the gang guys, and I was just like, hey, man, I'm going to run for sheriff. They're like, well, you're crazy. Get out of here. I'm like, no, serious, man. I'm going to run for sheriff. And I had a great job. Like, I was a gang and drug detective. Like, I had a take-home car. It was all good. I took a $25,000 pay cut.
I was going to say it was probably a pay cut.
I went to Pinal County. I loved it. I went back to patrol and just got to know the people there. But it took me 6 months to even get hired at Pinal County.
Okay.
I took a huge pay cut. It had a huge impact on our family life because my wife went back to work.
For sure.
Or went to work. So we had the 5 kids. It was just a lot of sacrifice.
And that's such a cool story because like it's almost, I mean, my story just in a smaller scale, like you clearly were successful entrepreneur. And I mean, I was too. I was an entrepreneur, but I made it really successful really quick and realized that wasn't my passion, and when I got out of prison, all I wanted to do was be sober and make money, and then I made a lot of money. And then honestly, I blew off a couple of youngsters that I was trying to help get sober. And I remember, I've lost so many friends since I've been out of prison, I can't tell you. And luckily I'm still here to this day. And I remember after I blew them off that Saturday, and it like really hit me that night, and I'm like, man, if I get a call and I lost somebody because I couldn't answer my phone because I was in the middle of working, and I don't think I'll ever get over that. And I don't want to preach too much religion on here, but I'll say it was a God thing now. And someone told me to get out of there, man. And I just decided to walk away from everything and pursue my passion. And I just want to help people, man. And I believe firmly that if you're doing the right thing, like we are doing, and I'm helping people and passing a mission, that the money will all come. Yeah. I'm not worried about the money right now. I'm on a mission to help people and save lives. And the fact that we can do this together is just amazing. And it just shows with the world that you can do anything in this world you want to. You always talk about having mental strength. Let's talk about that a little bit. We always say, like, use your best characteristics and traits to your benefit.
That's right. Look, I love that when you brought all that up because people think that money solves all their problems. And I'm not saying that money doesn't solve problems. There are good things about money. But when you have money, you realize your problems don't go away.
Absolutely.
Problems exist always. So then it becomes a quality of life thing. Are you going to go out? Is your goal in life just to make money, or is your goal in life to make a difference in this world? And for me, it's about making a difference in this world. And I believe that the Lord will always provide, that He'll always look out for you, that good things will happen. Money has a way of finding you. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And to me, it's about laying my head down at the end of the day and saying, I did good today. And I gave it my all. You can't look. I've responded to countless people who have died, that have left this world, and not a single one of them left with their house. Actually, they put them in a bag, and you take their wallet out of their pocket, you take everything out, and basically they leave that house with nothing. And, I think people forget that all the time. And so to me, it's about, going back to your question, this is about living your best life, becoming the best you can be, recognizing what talents you have, and sharing them with the world. When I have a youth redirection class, and when I talk to the youth, one of the things I tell them is I said, look, I'm going to tell you something hard, and I don't want you to take offense, and I want you to listen to me and hear me out. I say, you are not special. Whoa, these kids, they're used to being told they're special. And I said, look, hold on. I'm not saying there's a difference. You're not special, but you're unique. The reason why that's important to understand is when you think you're special and life kicks you in the face, which it will over and over again, you think there's something wrong with you. And then you become depressed, maybe suicidal, because you think something's wrong with you because you're special.
Absolutely.
But once you understand that you're unique and you start to view the things life's kicking you in the face as opportunities to better yourself and become better and stronger and tougher and more well-rounded, and it forces you to bring out those gifts and talents that you are inherently blessed with. And so I always tell people, be unique. Find out what it is that you have to offer the world. Every one of us have different fingerprints, different DNA, different irises. You could take a set of twins. You're both different. Everybody's different. God has given everybody individual talents, and your job is to figure out what they are and share them with the world.
Absolutely.
And too many people don't share them.
And I'll tell you a little prison story. That even goes to prison, because I remember, and I'm not proud of the person I was in prison, but I'm real about it. And I was a mean person in there. I was angry, and that's what I strive for. I strive to fit in with everybody in prison, And I remember I had to put in a ton of work because I was from Ahwatukee, and I had long blonde hair, and I was a little pretty boy. And I remember some of the kids that were coming in when I was like starting to be a shot caller now, and I would just be mean to these kids just because they weren't gangster and they didn't want to put in work in there. And that was the person I was. And I remember even who was my OG back then, telling me, everybody has a purpose. Who does when you do like these football parlays, who's the ones that I have writing all this stuff? Who does this and that for me? Who cleans here for you? And I'm like, man, I didn't even think about that. Everybody in this world has a purpose, and it's all about capitalizing on that, and our mind is our greatest asset. I'm claustrophobic. I spent 8+ years locked in a cell. How did I do that? My mind.
Yeah.
I brainwashed myself. I talked to myself. The first time I got slammed in a cell, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I seriously had panic attacks. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? And how I did it is just doing it, talking yourself through it.
One foot in front of the other.
Absolutely. And as small of baby steps as they are, it's as simple as that. It is as simple as it seems, And you can just translate that to anything out here. One more thing I want to talk about is business.
Can I just say something real quick?
Absolutely,
Because,
please.
you brought up something that you were mean in the prison, I was listening to Dave Chappelle yesterday, and Dave Chappelle was talking about, he's like, I was a little baby, I was crying. I was a soft little kid and this and that. And he says, I remember something my mom told me. He's like, my mom said, son, sometimes you have to be a lion so that you can be the lamb you want to be. And it's true. Like, I'm a very nice person, but I can be a lion as well so that I can continue to be the nice person that I want. So it's okay to be a lion. I think oftentimes this society wants to say that an alpha male that has no place, and that's not true. The way you make peace is you roam the Serengeti like a lion.
Absolutely.
And that's how you have peace. So
that's a very good point.
Once you lose your teeth, trust me, and you're no longer a lion, the jackals will come.
Absolutely. God, that's a very good analogy. I want to bring another cool thing, because I know you are, like I said, an entrepreneur, and you brought a cool business things to the department that a lot of people don't know about that I learned about you. Even as small as the budget. Can you tell me about some cool programs that you have brought to the Pinal County Sheriff's Department?
Yeah, I'm all about marketing. And that's when I ran this campaign, I knew nothing about running for office. People are like, you don't even know anything about politics. And I was like, no, I don't. And so what I would do is I would go meet up with people, and then I would sit down and they would tell me about, well, you need to do this, and you need to send out these flyers, and you need to knock doors. And so what I would do is just listen to what they said, and then I would go back and say, okay, what marketing concepts can I employ to achieve the same result, but better? And because I didn't know about politics. And so I just kept doing marketing stuff all through the campaign. My opponent spent 110,000. I spent 35,000. I beat him 64 to 36%. And it was all because I just employed marketing principles. I took that same mindset into the office when I became sheriff, a marketing mindset. You got to remember that most guys who are cops have probably been cops since they were 21 years old,
For sure.
maybe early 20s, probably never owned a business, never really wrote out paychecks to people. So their mindset is very different. They're used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. And it doesn't matter whether or not they market that agency or not. And you see that. And that's what happened in 2020. We had an incident that exposed that. Like, a lot of agencies did not have the ability. It's not like a bank account. You make deposits into a bank account, and that's what we do in this agency. We make community deposits. All our little posts, all the good things we do, that's our deposit. Because the withdrawals will come.
Absolutely.
And when those withdrawals come, they're heavy. And if you don't have enough to cover it in your account, enough community dollars to cover it in your account, then you're going to have problems.
I'm sure the media would love that story too.
Yeah, you're right. So I took those same marketing concepts, employed them at the agency, and we started doing things very outside the box. Now, my guys were uncomfortable with that at first because we were pushing to a different place they hadn't been before. The budget, we were over budget. We'd been over budget. The way we fixed that is we mended the relationships with the community. We used the county, and we went to them and said, let's fix this together. And we looked at it more from a business standpoint as opposed to looking at it just as government people.
For sure.
And we looked at the bottom line. The first 2 years, we struggled to get it under control. But then the second 2 years, both of those years, we came in under budget. And, we've gotten a hold of the budget. We have a good idea what it takes. The county works with us hand in hand. Those are all things that if I were to say one of the biggest things that helped me as a sheriff is the business part, probably more so than having been in law enforcement. It's the business part of being able to treat it like a business. And I think that's what's made us successful.
Is there a certain thing that you're most proud of from becoming a Pinal County sheriff that you've done there? Even at the program or anything?
I like my youth redirection program. I did a veterans pod in the jail. That's something I'm extremely proud of.
Oh, wow, cool, yeah.
I felt like we needed a place for the veterans. I wanted to make sure that the veterans didn't come back. Look, I don't want anybody to come back to my facility. And I know that sounds rude, but I'm not the Hilton. I'm not the Holiday Inn. I'm not looking for quality, customer satisfaction. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to come back. I want you to go out and be successful in life.
And I don't want them back, and that's why I'm here with you.
That's why I try to put programs together that benefit the inmates. I did the veterans program, and because I wanted to be able to help those guys who serve this country. And a lot of their problems were precipitated by their service to this country.
And they wonder why the recidivism rate is so high. I mean, I spent 12 years locked up in the jails and prisons, and there's no programs there. That's why when we met and had lunch, I was like, I want to get in and just talk to these inmates, man, because a lot of people don't know that. Like with myself, when I got out, I just strive to be sober and make minimum wage. Yeah. Because we think that we're in this box and we can't be successful because we're felons. And then I just did this prison time and I used my tattoos as an excuse why I couldn't get a job, And then but like I said, the only reason we're in that box is because we put ourselves in that box. So I was just talking with them earlier, and if I'm talking to inmates at the jail, they can be the sheriff if they want to be the sheriff. Yeah. Why not? You're only selling yourself short.
The sky's the limit. You're right. Look at what you did when you got out. And I know multiple guys. You and I have a couple of mutual friends that did time, came out, were successful. It's all about you. Yeah, some of us have challenges we got to overcome. People who don't go to jail also have challenges they have to overcome.
Absolutely.
To be successful.
For sure.
People who go to jail, I think sometimes you guys, there's a fire inside you. If you can kindle that fire and use it for good, you're unstoppable because you realize, man, I ain't going back. And I lost this amount of years, and I'm going to work even harder to compensate for that.
That's what still works for me. It still drives me to this day. Like people ask me how I still go or how I do this and that. And I'm like, all those days I spent in that cell talking to myself, telling myself, when I get out of this cell, when I have a chance to go do this and that, I'm going to do it. And it's just making those bets to yourself and just like I said, push through the mental strength.
But I would just real quick on the youth redirection. That's probably what I'm most proud about. I didn't want to see those kids getting charged anymore. I just thought there's two things that happen when a kid gets in trouble at 14 years old, 13, 15, whatever it is. They're going to go, first off, they think, what? I'm a bad kid.
Yeah.
I got in trouble.
And
I'm a bad kid. So the next temptation, the next opportunity to do something wrong is much easier because you already think I'm a bad kid.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I wanted to break that. And it also, they see law enforcement as the enemy once they get in trouble. Like we're the ones that set them on the wrong course. And that's not true either. And so I wanted to break those two things. So I went to the county attorney and said, hey, I want to put this program together. I went to Watsonville, California. I went to Scottsdale's. We looked at all these different programs. And when I came back, I said, okay, I know exactly what I want to do. I'm going to put them through this class. If they complete the class, it's as if it never happened. And I'm going to develop a relationship with these kids on a law enforcement standpoint. And I'm going to tell them, you're not bad. You just made a mistake. But you can't change that. Yeah. That is the biggest problem with people in this world. One of the biggest problems is they want to continue to hold themselves accountable for things they did as if they can change it.
I mean, there's not a person, like when they hear my story, what I went to prison for, there's not a person that I have talked to that hasn't said, oh, I've done that, or I've done worse than that, you know? We all make mistakes, so
and you can't change it. And that's what I tell these kids. You can't change it. Your mom can't change it. I can't change it. So let's not focus on that. Let's focus on being better.
Absolutely.
Let's focus on where we go from here. Because I always said, I remember watching this show one time. And so I'm going to tell this one last story, but I'll tell you what we do with those programs. So we do 4 class hours. We do goal setting and planning. We talk about digital media, social media, the dangers of sexting. We talk about drugs and alcohol. And then we do a career night where I bring people like you in or different people that come in and talk to the kids and answer questions and expand their minds as to what they can do. And then I make them do 8 hours of community service, which is horse therapy, where they go out, they shovel some crap, and then they spend some time with the horses.
Yeah.
And it has been this program. I've probably had 120 kids graduate from this program or go through it. And I bet you I've only had 1 or 2 or 3 maybe at most that have actually gotten in trouble again. That's how successful the program is. And we did it so that we could change these kids at the beginning of it, right from the start, and help them start to channel their energy in a better place.
Which is such a great idea because, to be honest, I mean, most people aren't going to get it after a long prison sentence or something. By then, it's too late. Like it's a miracle that I'm here, and I believe it's something greater than myself is the only reason I'm sitting here. So we can kind of talk about this a little bit. I do kind of like talking about like the social media thing because it is such a bad thing. And when I go back to the prisons and jails, I'm going to talk to the inmates about how they can use it, and you can use it to rekindle your old flames with your old connects and your old buddies, because that's going to be the easiest thing. You hop on Facebook, oh, look at the person I may know. This is my old buddy that I used to do. And then the second you go meet up with him, you're running back in the same circle. Or you could use it for positive things like me and you. That's how, I don't know if you remember, that's how we got connected. It was off Instagram.
Yeah.
I watched Live PD every Friday night. They took it off the air and I was pissed. It ruined my Friday nights. I'm serious, man. And I'm not a big TV guy. Police officers fascinate me. I just think of how bad of a person I was. And I just think of, I can't imagine trying to run around and chase us all. And it's comical. It's super entertaining. And I love that they give you guys a little bit of credit. So you guys get to see like the nitty gritty stuff, and then they took it off the air, and I think I DM'd you on Instagram, and I was just like, yo, what's up? What happened with this? And then a lot of people don't know we got connected through your foundation, which is because I know you do so much stuff in the community. And then, like I said, I had some success. So last Christmas I wanted to give back, and
which was awesome that you came and did that, man.
And I still talk to Miss Yazzie to this day, so that's how we got hooked up. And I went and sponsored a single mother of 4 kids. On the reservation, and I almost want to cry thinking about it. That was besides getting out of prison. I mean, that's up there with any day in my life, man. And I never knew how rewarding it would be. And I mean, seriously, to this day, it's one of the greatest joys of my life, and just giving back, and the fact that a person with my past, can even be in the opportunity to give back and even want to give back like that. But yeah, can we just talk about that a little bit?
Oh, I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. It's about fulfilling our lives, and sometimes the most fulfillment we get out of life is fulfilling somebody else's life, changing somebody else's life, helping them when they're getting roughed up by life. That's truly where this life is about. Like, we're all in the same boat, even though we have different political views, we have different religious views, we have different ethnic backgrounds, cultural backgrounds. There's so much different about us, but in the end, we're all just going through life together.
Absolutely. And I want to give you some more credit with that too, because I mean, you still talk to this lady. You don't have any reason to. That's just out of the kindness of your heart, And I feel like you guys do get beat up bad enough on here, and I want to just give you some credit for the amazing things that you do.
I appreciate it.
And
and that's why I started American Sheriff Network.
That's what I was getting into next. I was dying. You said you want to bring up one thing. I was like, I've been waiting to talk about this.
Yeah, I started American Sheriff Network because Live PD got taken off the air, cops got taken off the air, and then all of a sudden, where we had a voice, it was gone, and the only voice that was out there was the media and politicians pushing an anti-police voice.
If you ask me, Live PD, I mean, American Sheriff Network is Live PD times 10, because it's not what they want you to see. It's not the censored stuff. It's the real deal stuff.
I'll be honest with you. I think one of the reasons they push to cancel those is because I don't know that the George Floyd thing would have gotten as much traction as it did had they still had positive law enforcement things out there for people to see. When they took that off the air, it filled the airwaves with only negativity. And which is why we did American Sheriff Network, because we felt like the men and women that put on this badge every day deserve to have their voices heard, the positive things they do, their stories of how this job impacts their lives and their families' lives. Like one of them, the guy talks about how he got ambushed and shot multiple times, and he survived it, and the toll that it took on his wife. Well, a year and a half later, in the exact same location, his partner got ambushed, and unfortunately his partner was killed. And his wife relived all of that, and it ended up causing a divorce and all these things. And he talks about the reality of that, and most people don't see that. Like, this job takes everything we have and doesn't give it back.
For sure.
We're never the same. The things that we see, nobody should ever have to see, and we see it on a daily basis. I had a media guy go out with me the other night. First call we go on was a kid that had hit a car on a bike, on a motorcycle. And so I'm the first on the scene. I'm doing CPR on the kid. Other people show up. Deputies are showing up. We're all trying to save this kid. And then I look and I can see he lives close by. So I said, hey, look, I'm going to run over to the parents' house and I'm going to let them know their son is involved in an accident. So I drive over to where the parents are. The dad comes out, and unfortunately I have to break it to the dad. And then the mom comes out, and it was a girl that I had dated in high school.
No.
She comes out, Mark, I'm so sorry, and you could just see, it hits home.
For sure.
And then from there, we went to the hospital with them, and, she's crying on your shoulder. And then we go to another call and another call and another call. And at the end of the night, the guy's like, you know what? Honestly, the whole time, all you guys did was try to help people. And I said, that's what this job is. Like, yeah, people get held accountable, but the majority of what we do is just helping people, whether it's resolving a domestic or saving or doing CPR or giving Narcan to somebody who's just overdosed on fentanyl. That's what we do.
Thankfully, it did it to me,
Yeah.
So, like I said, Live PD is one thing. American Sheriff, I don't even think you plugged it enough, because it's legit, like behind the scenes, real stuff, like uncensored. For a lot of people that may just be listening to this and not even having a chance to watch it, you got to check out American Sheriff Network. It's
Thank you, because I didn't plug it enough. I didn't do a good job.
You didn't even do it good enough, because it's Live PD times 10. If you like Live PD, which is censored on TV, this is the real deal stuff that's not censored, behind the scenes. And like I said, I was going to plug it before you told me to, because I've been waiting to talk about it. I'm obsessed with it,
I know, it's awesome. And it's AmericanSheriff.com, American Sheriff Network. So you can find it at AmericanSheriffNetwork.com. You can find it at AmericanSheriff.com. Please come support us. It is a subscription site, and we did it so that they can't cancel us. And we also did it so you don't have to pay for the ads. So and it's a way to support the men and women that put on this badge every day. and we're just trying to do a good thing with it. And we're highlighting sheriffs from across the country because these are the people that were elected by the people to protect them, to represent them, to protect their constitutional rights. And then we're also showcasing America while we're at it. We're going to some cool parts of America, and we're highlighting the different things in those counties.
Cool. Thank you. A couple other questions before we get out of here. And I do want to ask you any other future plans, obviously, besides we know you're going to be the president one day. Any other plans you have besides that? We'll wait to announce that till some other time. But
yeah, we can do that some other time. No, people ask me this all the time, what you should run for governor and this and that. I really don't have any. I love being the sheriff, and I'm really about where is my voice loudest for God, family, and freedom. And I feel like right now as sheriff, my voice is loud, and I'm able to try to fight for those things. I shudder to think at what things would be like if we didn't have a sheriff that was standing up for the people and the rights and letting people choose and live the American way of life. So I don't really have a desire. And the other issue is like I live basically paycheck to paycheck. So to run for governor, I would have to leave my job. Yeah. I would have to leave my job, and I would then have to survive for a year plus. People say, well, no, we'll donate to your campaign. You can't use campaign funds for living expenses. And so you have to have a job. You have to have a way. So that's why you typically see wealthy people running for Senate, for governor, for Congress, because it's expensive.
And I can only imagine if the media got a hold of you using campaign money to pay your mortgage or something.
Oh, dude. The media, they try to find anything I do and try to make it negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is sad because, we're trying to do positive things. And I always tell them, just highlight that stuff. Like, I don't care if I do something wrong, go ahead, beat me up. But don't beat me up for stuff just because you don't like me.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of coming here. And I mean this with all my heart. You are one of my favorite human beings on the face of the earth. And everybody that doesn't know you may think this is an act. It's not an act.
No, this is me,
you
man.
are the real deal, and you don't get enough credit for how good of a person you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I do like you taking the time for a guy like me.
No, I love what you're doing. I got to be honest with you. I love what you're doing. I've seen you could have easily have just come out. You could have reoffended and ran right back in there. Anybody that comes out and gets after it and changes, that is truly a success story. I think what you've done is far more successful than what I've done because I didn't have to go through those. I didn't have to go through those hardships to figure out what my path was in life.
And that's my goal with this podcast, is to think of those turns you make in the road back when I was a youngster. And I want kids to think now, where there's that turn in the road, which way to go. And that's my whole goal with this podcast is I want to get my story out there, and where I made all the wrong turns, make the other ones. I'm showing you which way not to go.
And all you have to do is show them a picture of Hannah, and they'll see how successful you are. Like what kind of rewards come with life changes, right?
That's just the start of this, man. But stay tuned. We are going to be doing some big stuff. Like I said, I've changed myself, man, but I want to. I'm no joke. I'm going to leave a legacy on this earth, and I want to change the recidivism rate. And I'm starting with Pinal County, talking to inmates out there with you, and we are going to make a difference. And it's only going to happen because you're choosing to let me. And I feel like it's because you know what can make a difference, and you actually do want better for them. The people in your jail. I honestly believe with all my heart, every inmate in your jail you care about.
I do.
And you want good for them.
Look, even the ones that irritate me, I still care. Absolutely. I still want them to be successful,
which is rare.
I still want them. I'm not trying to, I don't make it super comfortable because I don't think that's what the taxpayers' money is for.
For sure.
But I take care of them as best I can. We've got tattoo removal programs. We've got, programs like what we're talking about bringing in with you. We've got all this other stuff that we do in there to help. We're GED programs. We're trying everything we can to try to make it as good as possible. And now we're looking at doing some reentry stuff, which is people who are addicted to drugs or mental health issues that maybe we can even catch those on the front end before they actually get put into the system and get them the help that they need, as opposed to just shoving them into jail or prison, which is where a lot of them end up.
Awesome. That is awesome. So last thing I would say here, the fact that I can have you sitting across from me, my message from this would be, do what you want. The only person stopping you is you.
Sky's the limit.
Thank you so much for coming here today. This is another day to add to my bucket list. It's a humbling moment for a guy like me to be sitting across from you. So thank you so much.
Hopefully you'll have me back, and I wish you the best of luck on the show.
You'll be back when we're going.
And let me know when I can promote it.
Thank you so much.
All right, brother.
Remember American Sheriff Network, guys. If you like live PD, you'll like that. And thank me later.
AmericanSheriff.com. Come check it out.
Thank you.